Welcome to the Sexy Confidence Podcast. Sexy confidence is a state of mind that enables you to master yourself so you can stay calm during stressful challenges and situations. It's a high performance attitude that helps you take command of any room you step into so you can magnetize opportunities for growth and impact. And I'm so happy you're here. I'm Sandra Gonzalez, a retired Marine officer turned executive coach speaker. Happy Saturday morning, ladies and gents. I'm so happy you're here. My name, once again, is Sandra Gonzalez. I'm a retired Marine officer turned executive coach speaker. And I had the distinction of serving 20 years of honorable service as a U.S. Marine. Now I guide and train leaders, high caliber entrepreneurs, C-suite leaders, veteran entrepreneurs to take command of any room they step into so they can magnetize opportunities for impact and growth. And the thing that will help you take command of your life and business is this ability to cultivate this high performance habit. It's this attitude of sexy confidence that enables us to master ourselves so we can stay calm during stressful challenges and situations. And I'm so happy you're here because my guest today, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. He is from Australia, Luke Mindpower. But before I bring him on, I want to share a little bit more about Luke Mindpower. And this guy, he's my amazing brother from another mother. And I've had the honor of being on 2 episodes on Luke's amazing podcast. And he's here with us today. I think he's living in Dubai right now. So excited he's here. But without further delay, let me bring my brother from another mother, Luke Mindpower. Luke.
Hey, Sandra, how are you?
Brother, I was texting you. I'm like, where are you at? I want to see you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm growing every day, focusing on the future, focusing on what we can do today to make our future better. I think we get really lost in the past and like too far ahead. And it's like, this is all we have, man. Focus on today and be grateful to be alive,
Yes, so grateful to be here with you. And I really didn't get to introduce yourself. I wanted to bring you on, Luke. But for those of you watching, whether you're watching the replay, you're watching my live stream, Luke is an international speaker. This man is a motivator and a mentor to many. He's a life coach and he's the host of the Luke Mindpower podcast. Now, Luke's purpose is to wake you up to your greatness and inspire you to live your dreams, not your fears. Now, before I ask you some incredible questions, Luke, what else did I miss? What else do you want to add to the introduction? I know I attract leaders, veteran entrepreneurs, high caliber entrepreneurs, C-suite leaders, and I help them take command of their life and business. So having said that, please introduce yourself. What did I miss? Are you in Dubai right now?
I am in Dubai. I'm actually just looking for something because I sent it to my family, actually reading off one of my press releases. And this is what they wrote about me. They said, today, Luke Klebovich, the motivational coach, stands tall. His battle scars are badges of honor that he wears with pride. His indomitable spirit
Mm.
empowers countless others to unearth the treasure buried within them. And when I read that, I was like, wow, that's actually exactly what I do. You know, it's unearthing the treasure that we all have within ourselves. Problem is, we don't give ourselves enough time and a chance to even try to figure out what is it, that gift within ourselves that we are holding on to, that we don't know about yet. You know, and we're so, unfortunately, from society, social media, other forms of media, our past, we don't know who we are,
Mm.
you know? And so that's one of the things that is like a main core purpose for me, is realizing, oh my goodness, for all these years, how I was living my life, I didn't know I had a gift. And I truly believe that everybody has the same, everybody has this gift within themselves. And it's your responsibility to take the time to nurture yourself and love yourself enough to discover that, unearth it. It's like it's there. It's like beneath the soil. It's so close, actually, for some of us, but we haven't got the shovel and we haven't dug enough deeper. We have to dig a bit deeper to
Love
to
that.
to actually
Yes.
to find your greatness. You know, so that's why, like, even my recent events that I've been hosting, I call it "Unlock Your Greatness," because
Yeah.
we all have greatness. You know, and I was inspired so much by Les Brown. You know, that would say, you know, you have something
Mhm.
special, you have greatness within you, and what I've done to overcome my own insecurities and challenges in the past, now to be where I'm at, knowing that I'm inspiring millions of people all the time, every
You
day,
are.
it's
You
ridiculous,
are.
you
So
know?
let's talk about a little bit more about that shovel. How can we uncover our greatness? And I bring this up, Luke, because I know you were in China back in 2019.
Hmm.
So I want to start with this first question to you. How was your experience in China? And I believe it was in 2019. Correct me if I'm wrong, where you lived with those Shaolin monks. And I want to know more about that experience, and specifically how it helped you uncover your greatness, how it's helping you now as an entrepreneur.
Hmm. Yeah, powerful. Thanks for asking this question. There's so many parts of it. It's not just when I was there, it was how I got there.
Mm,
And that's why I tell you guys, for anybody who's listening, you know, that everyone comes into your life for a reason. You know, the choice that I made in 2018 when my grandmother passed away was to move to Poland. I felt very close. I had this real connection with my culture, my heritage, that being a Polish descent. My parents are from Poland. And I made that decision. And then as I made that decision, there was another friend of mine who was also contemplating this decision as well, to move there. So we started chatting. As we started chatting, at the same time, he's said to me, "Hey, next year, January 2019, I want to go to Thailand first and do Thai kickboxing." I thought that was a fantastic idea, to stay for a month, get as fit as you can, improve your health, and then go. And I was like, "Wow, I'd be interested in that." As I was thinking about that, I then also was living in my one bedroom apartment, and I was watching Netflix, I think one weekend when I was hungover or whatever it was, after a big weekend, and I was watching a Bruce Lee documentary. And
mm,
that inspired me when I was watching that, because I sat there and I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a kung fu school, you know? And so then I went on Google, because I was like, Thailand, Thai kickboxing, yeah, that sounds cool. But when I was watching this Bruce Lee documentary, I was like, man, kung fu, you know, it's something
yes.
different. And I felt really connected with Bruce Lee, you know. So I Googled it and I found the shaolintemple.com website. I went on there, I made an inquiry straight away, and I said, "Hey, I'm interested, blah blah blah. Can you tell me more information?" So that was around March 2018. I didn't leave until I didn't leave to go to China until another year and like nearly 2 years later. It was November 2019. So it took me a little bit of time to get there, because there were so many things that were happening along my journey of this whole process of developing myself and letting go of people that were in my life that weren't going where I wanted to be going. But straight to China, basically, it was out of my comfort zone for sure.
Mm.
It was in a place called the Spring City, which is Kunming. Never been there in my life. You get there and there's nothing in English. But I had some instructions, obviously, from the temple on how to get there, the address and stuff like that to give to the taxi driver. But these are the experiences that change your life,
Mm.
where you actually take risks and you go and explore. The world is your oyster, and it does help you grow. I used to be one, and I'm sure that many people can relate. I used to be one that was afraid to travel, afraid to. I remember 2004 going to Poland. I stayed in my cousin's house for I think 3 weeks until my sister came. Then when she came, then we went out
Mhm.
because I was too scared to go by myself.
Mm.
I was afraid. I was out of my comfort zone. I don't know where I am, how to catch the bus and all this stuff. I'm in a foreign country. So I always had this fear. If I'm not in my comfort zone, like in Australia, in Sydney, then I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't explore. So, it took me a little bit of time, but then going to China and getting there and being greeted by the Shifu, which is the master. And then he's like, Kung Fu. And I'm like, yep. And he took me to the right place. And as soon as I walked in there, I saw everyone training and these students wearing the uniform and stuff. And I thought to myself, can I learn that?
Mm.
Because it was, they were doing it so well. And I was thinking, I wonder if I can do this. And then slowly I started to integrate what they were teaching us, and being a part of the curriculum and the uniform, and waking up at 6:30 in the morning, getting into a line, counting from one to however many students that we had in Chinese. And if we made a mistake, we had to start again. It was almost like I was at school again, you know. But there was the major part of this, because when COVID happened, we had to shut down the temple. When we were training and stuff, we had tourists coming in, and actually, like, it was like a attraction, tourist attraction. People would come in and watch us train. But the one quote that I posted on Instagram when I first got there was, "Don't be afraid to be a beginner."
That's right. Love that.
And I think that's the one of the biggest things for most of us, whether it's starting your own business or
Yes.
going on a journey of personal growth or whatever that is for you. We are always afraid because we don't want to be
Mm.
seen starting. We don't want to be seen at the bottom.
Yes. So
You
good,
know,
Luke. Yes. And every master was once a disaster. So we must, like, we must learn to step into uncertainty. Be certain, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I love that you shared that, because as we look up to these people that we admire, that we highly respect, every master was once a disaster. So, what would you say has really helped you from that experience as an entrepreneur?
when it got shut down and we weren't training, I went to the Shifu and I said, "Would it be okay if I interviewed all of the students?" So we got the table out. I got my tripod out, and I asked all the students. I said, since we're locked down and all that kind of stuff, um, would you like to do some interviews with me? I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel. So I've still got all these interviews on my YouTube channel from
Mhm.
then. But basically, I was interviewing the students, and at the end of every interview, I asked them, like, what's the best thing about being here? Like, what do you love the most? And everyone said the same thing: the people. Because
Mm.
you had new people coming and going, like new people coming. Some people would be there for 2 weeks, they would leave. Some people were there for 3 months, then they would leave. It was a really great place to like lose weight, for example, because all you're doing is
Mm.
exercising every day. You know, and get flexible because you're stretching every day as well. But when they said the people, I was like, it's the truth.
Mm.
Because what I learned there was one of the most, not something that we haven't heard before, but You've heard the saying, teamwork makes the dream work.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard the saying, you become the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And in this space, as we were training together 5 days a week, it was like a tribe. It was like a team. It was like no one gets left behind. You know, one person would be tired and we'd be running around every time we would be warming up for our training. We would be screaming at each other and pushing each other to keep going, even though you're tired, you can do this. And all of us screaming at the same time when supporting each other was was part of like this camaraderie, you know, that like we can do this. And that's why I believe in your environment, because yeah, after 3 months, I was doing all this kung fu stuff I've never done in my life, you
Mm.
know? And so it showed me that repetition is the mother of skill. It showed me that who you surround yourself with is whom you become.
Mm.
And so now I take that and I'm like, it's the truth. You are a product of your environment. And if you don't like the product that you are, change your environment, change the people that you're surrounded by. And, you know, that was probably one of the biggest like aha moments. Even though I knew it, I needed
Mm.
to be in that space to feel it, you know? But then also it taught me that I am my own best doctor. You know, it taught me
Oh,
about my body, taught me about my body and how it communicates with me
yeah,
and how it's always healing itself. But it's just that we have to be for it, not against it. And many of us are not for it. We're putting things in our body. We're not taking care of our body. So hence why we have diseases.
absolutely. That's why it's so important to, and I share with clients or loved ones, friends, family, our stomach is not a wastebasket. We must learn to scrutinize like everything we eat because it will affect our body, our brain. And if it affects your body and your brain, it's going to affect your business. You'll be more sluggish. You won't have as much energy. But food is thy medicine, no doubt. And I love what you shared. Repetition is the mother of skill. And
Mm,
our environment is everything,
mm,
right, Luke? Our environment, and this is why I'm so, when you come to San Diego, you always make time for me to visit, to spend time, to go have dinner. And I really appreciate you for that. So honored to be your friend. And that's why you're here on my live stream and I'm sharing you with this amazing audience. My next question is this: what keeps you motivated during challenging times?
I believe gratitude is huge. There's always going to be overwhelm when you're growing or stress. And you know, I was listening to I don't know if you guys have heard of Andrew Tate, but you know he's pretty well known, and some people like him, some people don't. But he said something that really stood out for me, and he said that your success is determined upon how much pressure you can handle. And when I
Mm.
heard that, I was like, yeah, because
Ooh.
most of the time, if it's too much pressure, you'll bail. You'll go, I'm done. Fuck this. This is too much. I can't do this anymore. You know. And there are times like that when you're growing. You know, when you have to get, you got to handle the pressure. You know,
Mhm.
and if you can't handle the pressure, slow down, take a break. You know, and that's why I kind of like put myself in the deep end over the last 6 to 8 months with doing events, because it put me under pressure. But
Mm.
that pressure then also helped me grow, put me out of my comfort zone. You know, if I just sit here in my apartment behind the camera, I'm comfortable with that. For some people who haven't done that, that's out of your comfort zone. But eventually, what you do that's uncomfortable will eventually become comfortable. You'll rewire your brain for that to be habitual, and then that's normal now. Hence
Exactly.
why the journey of life is like evolving all the time. You have to decide, am I growing or am I staying the same? Because once you start staying the same, you go into stagnation, which then
Mm.
causes, a lack of fulfillment. I'm not achieving more. That's the whole purpose of life, is to grow,
Mm.
you know? So what keeps me motivated as well is knowing that I'm having such a positive impact on people's lives, but most importantly, also being able to provide a positive working and flexible working environment for my family. I have two of my sisters that work with me, and they work from home. You know,
Amazing.
my mum's not well, and guess what? My sister works there at home, and she's able to take time off to help my mum. If she was going to a fucking 9 to 5 job, she had to drive there or catch a train or whatever. Who's going to take care of my mum?
Mm,
You know what I mean? So, that's a blessing, and so it's like we don't appreciate when we go through challenges or building our own empire or business or whatever, how much of a positive impact or example we can have for people around us. Instead, we play small when we've got so much greatness and potential within us, but we fear too much. It's not possible for me. We're comparing ourselves to other people. You're not that other person, So it's like take the risk and or lose the reward. And it's like, what are you here for?
mm. We gotta
Time
keep.
flies. It
Yeah,
goes so quick, and it's
it
like, man,
does. It's already March, Luke.
yeah,
Time is
man, crazy.
flying by. You were just here. I think it was what, September of last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was September of. It was because
I know.
I
Crazy
I
time
was
flies.
actually the MC of an event
Yeah,
in
yeah. And you saying
Riverside.
I'm making time for you made time for me, man.
Of
Far out. What do you mean?
course,
You know?
absolutely.
And it was already like when did I see you? 2019. So, it was 3 or 4 years, since. And, the way that you received me back then, like I'm so grateful, you know what I mean? Because back then I had 5,000 followers
I've seen your
or
growth, and
less,
you
So
motivate me. That's what I have, and
no, but
I'm proud of my
this
followers.
is the thing. Like we sometimes we don't realize like how powerful our presence is in somebody
Mm,
else's life. Like you being in my life when I was first starting this work, Sandra, was a gift. I didn't fully believe in myself or know who I was, but I needed someone like you to be an angel, an earth angel for me to say to remind me that I'm enough, to remind me that I can do this. So I'm grateful for you.
ugh, every time I'm with you, I get so motivated, and we have these real talks. That's why I decided to do this live stream with you, Luke.
Mm,
Actually, I've been wanting, as you already know, I've been wanting
I
to
know
do
it's been
it
taking a
since
while.
December, right? November, December. I messaged you.
Yeah, it was. I
Yeah,
think it was October. Even you were trying to get me to do it, and it's just timing and just wasn't working.
timing, and you know what? I'll keep it real. Procrastination, because
Yeah,
I would rather get in front of 500 people in a live event and speak
yeah, for
than,
sure.
than to do this. Why?
Mm,
Because of
mm,
the thing you mentioned. I'm uncomfortable, but we
mhm.
must continuously step into that discomfort until it becomes comfortable. So I got to keep it real. I'm like, I haven't done many of these, but when I do, there's so much fun. They're empowering. And it really is not about me. It's about sharing you with the amazing audience, the viewers, the listeners, that are watching this, because you bring a wealth of information. Your experience is incredible. And I love this thing you shared. How much pressure can we
Mm.
handle as leaders? So good. I love that, Luke. So jump into there's so many questions I want to ask you. My next question is, how do you approach making difficult decisions under pressure? So once you're under pressure, how do you approach making these difficult decisions? Because we have to make these difficult decisions.
Well, when it comes to, for example, staff, it's not easy to let somebody go. For example, you know
Mm,
that's not easy. It's not easy to say no to people. But one thing I've always learned is what I practice within my own personal development, within my relationship with myself, is the same thing I have to practice with my business. So, for example, I say that, when you learn to love yourself, you'll always do what's right for you, even when you feel guilty for doing so. When you love yourself, you put yourself first. Now I have to bring that into my business and learn or pick up on the mistakes or the lessons or something that's happening that's not evolving, for example. And so I may have go through an experience where I'm picking up one person that's working with us, for example, is not growing, or they're not able to take on the tasks that are set for them, for
Mm.
example, or they're not vibing with the team. The team is very important, and so you got to have the right people that can work together, synergy. You know,
Mm.
and so that's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to do, to have to let somebody know that their time's up. So again, I always bring it back. I'm like, I sit there and I go, I feel guilty for doing this. I'm like, yeah, but if you loved yourself enough, what would you do? If you're putting yourself first, what would you do? Well, make the decision.
Mm.
So that's why I always come back to, when I have to make a difficult decision, is I always ask myself, if I loved myself enough, what would be the right decision for me? And then I
Mm.
make the decision. It's because I always find the right answer. But it's always going to come across from another point of view or someone else, as in your ego. You think you're the best, you're self-righteous,
Right.
it's all about you. That's other people's opinions. But at the end of the day, you do have to protect your baby. I call my business my baby.
Mm.
And if I don't nurture it, love it, appreciate it, spend time with it, take care of it, feed it, change the nappy, you know, then it will cry, it will starve. And so I have to be very attentive, like especially the first 5 years of a business. You have to be like on board all the time. And it's like having a child. You can't fast forward the process. You can't go from, oh my gosh, it's 2 years old, and go, oh my gosh, I wish the child was just 10 years old already, so I don't have to wake up and change the nappies or whatever. It doesn't work like that. It's the same thing. You got to go through the process.
Mm. You listen, you've listened to understand what's calling at you, not what's clawing at you. There's a
Mm,
big difference in that, Luke, and I think one of the things we need to learn to how to normalize is how to fill up our love tank every single day. And, people think that it's selfish to think about ourselves, but, as leaders, it's important to learn every single day how to fill up our love tank. And that is, in essence, what you're doing by asking yourself the right questions of, what do I need to do? What's best for me
mm,
and my team at the moment? I
mm-hmm,
need to let this person go.
mm,
As much as you hate to put yourself in that position, at the end of the day, as leaders, we're not here to please people. We're here to do the right thing. And sometimes doing the right thing means confronting other individuals tactfully, professionally, with an empathetic approach. And I think that's what you do,
it's in
and that's what
relationships
you're
as well,
doing.
Sandra. It's
Ooh.
relationships as well. People are not in their confidence. I cannot like count the amount of relationships that I had where I was afraid to make the first move to let them know that I wasn't happy or that something was off, because I was afraid that I would hurt their feelings. So basically, I was always coming from a place of, my feelings don't matter.
Mm.
So then what am I doing? Well, I'm disrespecting myself then.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to keep the peace, for example. you know? So that's where everything shifted for me, where I was just like, you know what? No more. I'm going
Mm.
to put myself first. And it may be at the expense of hurting somebody else's feelings, but at least I know I'm not hurting myself anymore.
Mhm.
And I think that's important for everybody to be aware of, that, when people reject you, never reject yourself. Know your freaking worth,
Mm.
and don't force shit. If something's not for you, it's not for you. Don't try and chase it back if
Yes.
it's rejecting you. It's clearly indicating to you, because we do this many times with trauma bonds and unhealthy relationships. We're always trying to stay connected when something is wrong. It's clearly evident. Like the signs
Mm,
are there that it's unhealthy for you and you don't want to leave. So it's like when you know your worth and something doesn't want to be with you, it doesn't want to be with you because that's the truth. Don't
right.
force it. What flows flows, what crashes crashes. you
Ooh,
know and when you can become confident in who you are, know your worth, guess what? If someone doesn't want to be with you, that's beautiful, because that means there's other, like, millions that, like, we forget that there's millions of people out there.
exactly. And
you know
this ties into our businesses. We're going to attract the people that are supposed to be in our life and in our businesses, and we're going to repel the wrong ones. It's okay. But like you said, that moment when you decide, I matter, that moment when you decide, what is the good thing, the perfect thing for me, whether it's in a relationship setting or, in your business, when you put yourself first and foremost, you're establishing boundaries.
mm, I know, that's, yeah, boundaries is like key, eh? It's so
It's
powerful,
everything.
so important. But, like, ask yourself the question, why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you?
Mm, yes. Such a
Stupid.
good question. That reminds me of I think it was the first episode we did on your podcast. I don't even remember what episode that was, but it was so much fun. And at the moment, I think you remember, Luke, I was going through that difficult divorce.
Mm,
After having been married for 15 years, you don't think things are going to change overnight, abruptly, the way they
mm,
did for me. And it was in that moment that I realized, this is difficult. This sucks.
mm,
I had to hire 4 attorneys to fight my complicated divorce case. But I'm so grateful for that lesson, because I really learned to fill up my love tank and
mm,
understand that this was happening for me, not to me. That, this individual who I thought was my best friend, he treated me like a queen during 15 years of marriage, now wanted to part ways. And at
mm,
the moment, I didn't understand why. But it's in those moments when we don't have an answer that you just have to shift. You have to focus on the cure, not the disease. You have to ask yourself, what's the lesson here? How can I step into this and become a better person? And
mm,
what I learned was, oh my goodness, such a remarkable lesson I learned about myself, about other people. And when they choose to not be in your life, it's like, it's okay. Wish them well. It's like, God
mm,
bless you. May you have an incredible life. May you be happier. And just wish them the best.
mm. Yeah, I mean, it just shows the codependency, though. It shows codependency, also shows, insecurity, and it also shows, the lack of love, the lack of being seen, the lack of being heard when we were children. So then we get attached to anyone who gives us attention, even if it's
Mm,
unhealthy, and then we don't understand why we stay there when it's not good for
yes.
us. And it does. It's just, the first 7 years of our life, where 80% of our subconscious mind is conditioned, and you're experiencing, some sort of neglect or abandonment as a child, lack
Mm,
of, even just a lack of love, lack of attention, not seen enough. So you can make that can be conditioned in your mind, and then that's how you evolve and you grow up.
right.
And some of us just don't, and that's why I say, look deeper. I did a lot of research on my childhood, on my parents. Who are they? Who are their parents? What did they go through?
Mm,
Because it's all generational, and generational trauma exists as well. So when you go deeper and actually do the research, man, you figure out some good shit that helps you become
Yeah.
aware of like why you are the way that you are.
But you've done the work, Luke. And I think that's what it takes. It's doing the inner work
Mm.
to understand thyself, to understand ourselves a little bit better as we move through adversity. And, adversity is, this is what I share with all leaders, adversity is our advantage. And it's leaning into this discomfort. It's not suppressing these difficult emotions. It's experiencing them, because that's what life in business is all about. So I know you help a lot of people with relationships, and you're still single, right?
Yep.
And and so am I, Luke. And I think that's another thing, that it's okay to be single.
Oh man,
So
it's
many
like the
people,
best
right?
gift.
It's such a beautiful gift.
No, but Sandra, we live in a society like I was pressured to get married when I was 27 because I felt like everyone was doing it. And my sisters
Mm,
all married, and then I'm hearing it from my dad, my grandmother. Every time I saw them, when are you getting married? So the first girl that I saw, I fell in love with her, and 1 month later, I asked her to marry me. Which then 9 months later ended up with her telling me that she didn't want to be with me after 1 week before the wedding.
mm,
Like we planned everything. Wedding was ready. I was traveling to Medellin in Colombia. I had cousins coming from Poland. Everything was booked.
wow.
So it was all planned. And so that was 20. And I think about it now. I'm like, I'm 39. I'm like, 27. I was trying to get married. Like, what? So the best gift I gave myself in 2018 when I started growing, I think it was June, I stopped seeing a girl that I was seeing because I felt that I saw a sign that she didn't believe in my dreams. As I mentioned something to her that I was excited about, and she said that that was stupid. So I left that from that point on, and I said, you know what? No more girlfriends. I'm going to spend time with me now. This is my time. I was constantly in
Mm,
this cycle of, you know, needing external love or needing someone to want me for me to feel enough. And again, everyone else around you may be in relationships. For me, that was the case. And so then it then made you and conditioned you to believe that, well, if you're not in a relationship, if you don't have a girlfriend, well, then there's something wrong with you, Luke. You're not enough if you don't have that, right? So I was believing
mhm.
as well that if she came into my life and she loved me, then I'd be enough. And so what are we doing? Well, we're relying on something outside of ourselves to make us happy, which is bullshit. Happiness comes
Mm,
from the relationship with yourself. Happiness comes from within yourself. You make yourself happy. You're the one that's supposed to feel it within, not be
yeah.
constantly waiting on something outside to come to your rescue and say, hey, I'm here now. You're going to be okay. So I realized that, and I took it upon myself, and I said, you know what? No more girlfriends. I'm going to spend time with me now because I don't really know who I am. So I'm just a product now of that. That's one of the choices I made. And now I'm not in a hurry.
Yes.
I'm not in a hurry, Sandra. I
Right?
don't give a shit. I'm not, because
Exactly.
I believe in timing. I believe that when it's the right
Yes.
time, you will match the frequency with the right person at the
Yes.
right time. You don't have to force it. So many of us are trying to force shit.
Mm,
We feel like we're running out of time, and it's like, and then when you force it, it's not natural. You want it to flow,
mm.
be easy, like a river. It's just flowing.
Yes. It should be natural.
Mm.
Should be completely natural. And I know what you mean, uh, Luke, because I have family like that. I've been divorced, separated, divorced now for a while, and my family's like, "What? You're not in a relationship? Aren't
Mm.
you married yet?" I'm like, "Because I'm happy living my best
Yeah.
life and
And what
building."
makes you happy, Sandra? Like now, like what makes you happy?
Great question. Great question, Luke. This makes
Yeah.
me happy.
Mm.
Knowing that I've connected with powerful leaders such
Mm.
as yourself, and I can bring it to people in this modality. Whether I'm hosting an empowerment retreat, which you're going to be a part of here soon, one of these days,
Hmm.
or through a live stream. This makes me happy. And
Mm.
I've realized we must go after priceless moments in life and business. So many leaders are tied to like their accomplishments, which is great. Accomplishments are great, and the money that they make. But what we must truly go after is these priceless moments, learning to be present, masticating every moment and enjoying life now, not in the future, because the future is just an illusion, not in the past, because the past is gone. But how can I unravel this gift now with this amazing leader who's all the way in Dubai? Where are you, by the way, in Dubai?
Um, Business Bay. So like
Ah,
10 minutes from downtown.
yes, love
Yeah.
for I have friends, clients. I just had a client in Dubai, a previous client. She just got married, an
Hmm.
Emirati woman,
Hmm.
and I love Dubai. I love Dubai. And I used to live in Arabian ranches. I know you're getting familiar with Dubai, but the infrastructure in Dubai, the people in Dubai, I love living there. I know I'm going to go back soon. Don't know when, but I'm going to go back soon, inshallah. And you're meeting incredible people there. What has been like the most uh, proud moment, or what? I know you're having fun there. What has been like the proudest moment for you thus far?
With living here or business or what?
Yes, with people you've connected there in Dubai.
Yeah, I think I kick myself. I have to kick myself and remind myself of where I am, because once upon a time I was starting my coaching programs living at my parents' house. And I was on government benefits.
Mm.
I'd just been scammed over $100,000 with somebody from Florida. Um, so starting, and it's crazy why I don't understand. It's stupid, but for many people I've heard it. They've had to lose to then win.
Mm.
You've had to like hit rock bottom, and you've had to start from the bottom. And there's just something about that, like Les Brown says, make sure that if your back's against the wall, make sure if you've hit rock bottom, if you can look up, you can get up. You got that power in you. You got comeback
Mm.
power, you know. But yeah, like it's like when you hit rock bottom, it's a really good place because there's nowhere else to go but to get up.
That's right.
So I had to go through that, and then building my coaching programs and platforms from scratch, from the bottom, living at my parents' house, being on government benefits because of COVID, and like coming back from China. And but I think a proud moment before moving to my parents' house was actually my sister called me when I was in China, and she started having panic attacks and anxiety. She was on
Mm.
anti-anxiety medication, and she was ringing me while I was there saying that she needs help. And like, this is a
Mm.
woman who has 4 children. She's happily married. If you look from the outside, her life is a dream. Like many people would dream of having the house that she has, a swimming pool, a nice new car, like 4 beautiful children, an amazing supportive husband. And then she's messaging me, telling me that she's got anxiety. And I'm like, what? You know?
Mm.
And I really do. I remember this time where my brother-in-law was like, so it's fine. I'm getting her a new car. And the first thing that I thought was, a new car ain't going to fix her anxiety,
Ooh.
because I knew that, because it's just materialistic,
Yes.
and it wasn't my ego. It was just like, I knew that there was something happening that was off. So I was actually not planning on coming back. I didn't want to come back. I was happy there. I actually would have stayed probably a few more months. But
Mm.
because she insisted and she was like, I need your help, I decided to come back to Australia. And so for the next 2.5 months, I helped her to heal. 2 weeks after working with me. So basically I created a program for her, a routine for her. We started implementing, practices of self-love and meditation and yoga and exercise and diet and therapy sessions together, and envisioning her future and goals, and then also my time and energy with her. I'm a very good masseuse, so I was giving her massages every single day while we
Wow.
were listening to meditation, and so I was helping her to come back to herself.
Mm,
2.5 weeks after, she came to me and she said, "Hey, I didn't tell you, but I'm off the medication."
amazing.
And I was like, "Fuck, so good." I was so happy to hear that, So, and then about 2.5 months after that, like in there, I was like, "Okay, I got to get out of here because the kids are like, there's too many. There's 4 kids. I'm living there." And I was like, "Too much energy. I got to leave." And so I didn't have anywhere else to go but to my parents, But that's another story. But that was definitely like a proud moment to have
Mm,
helped her, because what was the solution, or what was the reason for the anxiety? She was depleted.
yes.
She was drained. She was overexerting all her energy to her husband, the kids, the house, the job, like doing all this stuff, but forgetting about herself. And so all that
Yes.
was happening was the body. As I told you before, the body, you are your own best doctor. If you pay attention, your body's talking to you. And
Mm,
the body was talking to my sister, and it was saying, "Hey, you forgot about me. So now I'm going to give you these signals coming as panic attacks and anxiety to
mhm.
remind you, or to try to activate some sort of awareness that you need to come back
Yes. So
because I'm
what is
losing you."
so good? Such a proud moment, and thank you for your transparency, your honesty, and no doubt a proud moment, especially
Mm.
helping and serving someone you love.
And she works with me now.
What's that?
She works with me now.
Uh, you won her over. I mean,
Like,
you. She's
that's
family, so
it's a blessing, man. She, like, we
what a
shared this with our
blessing.
clients. What
Ah,
happened? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing.
so for the leader, it is amazing, Luke. So for the leader who has anxiety and is watching and is listening, what is one thing you would highly recommend so they can overcome anxiety?
It probably won't be just the one thing. There's many things, but your environment, where your attention is
Mm,
going. A lot of the times we haven't, for example, processed or healed our past trauma, so it's still lingering there. It hasn't been released. It's suppressed within our energy, within ourselves. So, and then it can be the people you're surrounded by, your
yes.
environment. It can be the job that you're working in, or your team, or there's reasons for it. It's not happening just, for example, I had a break from, drinking coffee, for example, had some coffee, went for a walk, and I had fucking anxiety because my body was like, where did this coffee come from? It's a stimulant. And I
Mm,
had a bit of a, like, my heart rate went up. I was short of breath a little bit, and I was like, oh, I had to slow down because I was like, yeah, it's the caffeine, because it's just a signal from my
yeah,
body to recognize that, maybe I haven't had breakfast or whatever, or haven't eaten, and having caffeine is not the best thing, So it's tuning in and realizing that there is a reason for your anxiety. It's not coming out of
mhm,
nowhere. You know what I mean? And so a lot of the times, yeah, it does have, a big indication to your environment, who you're surrounded by, your happiness. What are you becoming because of the people in your life? Is there
yes.
stress because of a relationship? Is there something that you're holding in that you haven't released and you've been holding it for years? That can be causing, it's a state of dis-ease, discomfort, right? And so
Mm.
after many years of that, hence why we get sick.
And the thing that I know has helped you and me as well is this ability to develop self awareness, right? We must constantly develop self awareness around the things that are happening to us. Why do I feel a little off this morning? Oh, it might have been that caffeine I had. I didn't have breakfast. I didn't sleep appropriately.
Mhm.
Maybe it is the people I'm associating myself with. It's developing that self awareness first and foremost, so we understand again ourselves. Because when we understand ourselves better, then we can serve other people better.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah, it's emotional intelligence. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I was walking across the road downtown Dubai, and there was this couple behind us, and they were arguing,
Ooh.
and you could feel the energy between them, and they were just arguing and
Ooh.
arguing and arguing. And for me, I was there with my sister. We were talking, but every time I felt the energy and I was hearing them argue, it was actually disturbing my peace. I'm
Mm.
like really sensitive to that shit, and I think about that now and I'm like, why am I so sensitive to that? And why does it disturb me? I don't like to be around that kind of energy. I've always grown up being a lover, not a fighter. You
Yes.
know, I never wanted to start trouble with anyone, but I attracted it because I never stood up for myself. I was bullied when I was younger. I was hit over the head when I worked at McDonald's because this dude was bigger than me and I was really lanky and skinny.
But you're a big dude, Luke.
Oh, now I am. That's why I'm blessed. I'll be honest. I'm blessed now because people don't want to muck around with me when they see me.
You're like 6'4",
Yeah, I'm 6'1",
6'3".
I'm 6'1", but back then I was small, man. I was skinny, lanky, and so I did get bullied,
Mm,
so I grew up really insecure, and so I've never, gotten comfortable with confrontational situations, although part of
mm,
my growth has been having to have, I like to call them carefrontational conversations, where you're speaking
mm.
your truth
So
even when
good.
your voice shakes, but doing it in more of a caring manner and
Ugh.
being okay with sharing your feelings and emotions. And, as I was speaking to one of my clients today, he was even saying that it's weak to be vulnerable as a man.
Ooh, what do you think
And
about
I was
that?
like, bro, I said, it's the
Oh,
superpower. It's the
ooh,
superpower. Vulnerability is a superpower for a
ooh.
man to be able to expose his feelings and emotions, to let someone know how that person has made them feel in a sense. Bro, that's where healing comes. But
Yes.
we have been conditioned as men to be strong. We're in our masculine all the time, defense mode, protective mode. No, you can't break me, you know?
Mm.
And so there we're not being our true authentic selves. And so we're suppressing a lot of our truth.
Ugh, I love what you brought up, the whole masculinity. And, I've learned this the hard way being a retired Marine. I I've realized that, for the longest time I used to think my masculinity was my superpower because it
Mm,
made me competitive. It made me take command of any room. It allowed me to be, like you said, carefrontational when I had to be, right?
mm,
And it wasn't until I lost my father, Luke, you know, going through
mm,
that difficult divorce, when I lost my dad, his demise taught me so much about life and business. But the most important thing I realized was that our ego is not our amigo. And
I love that. I heard you say that before, and I was like, wow.
and it's, and I've learned this the hard way, Luke, because it was my femininity is my superpower, my ability,
Absolutely. Yes.
my ability to forgive my
Mm,
my ex because I didn't know what he was going through, and my ability to forgive him and wish him the best of luck in his life, my ability to forgive myself
mm,
for the things I endured,
mm,
my ability to forgive myself when I lost my dad. I found him
mm, mm,
unconscious. That's another story.
mhm,
But his demise taught me to shift my focus to the lesson, not the losses. I didn't lose an ex husband, I gained a valuable lesson.
mm,
I didn't lose a father. I'm grateful I had a father. Many people go through this entire lifetime not knowing what it means to have a father. And I had one
mm,
who loved me
mm,
unconditionally and
mm,
taught me how to cultivate the sexy confidence to move forward and live my best life
mhm,
and learn to stay calm during stressful challenges and situations. So I learned My femininity is my superpower, my ability to receive, my ability to make mistakes and be okay, fail forward,
Mm-hmm.
my ability to be receptive, my ability to serve others, because this is what it's about. It's about serving others. And when you shift to that, you realize that your ego sometimes is not your amigo.
Mm. Powerful.
What
You're
comes up?
amazing, Sandra.
What comes up for you, Luke?
What's that?
What comes up for you as you hear me say that?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, the ego is very powerful. And
Mm,
also I heard something interesting about the ego. It's the ego keeps you in the future and in the past, not in the present.
mm,
And that's something that I'm very conscious of now, is to stay in the reality of what is. We're always kind of like either because the past is something that you want to use as a self-reflection. How far have I come? What have I overcome? What have I endured? How can I be
mm.
inspired because of my perseverance of all the adversity and challenges that I've had to go through, that now I'm here? Wow. you
Yeah,
know and as I was mentioning before, like having a bit of introspection or self-reflection of like, damn, I started at my parents' house. Now I'm living in Dubai. Wow, everybody in Dubai is successful. Every person that I connect with here is of some sort of success. You can't not have a conversation with someone and they're not doing something big, you
right?
know? And
Yes.
that is why I tell you that your environment is very important. That's one of the reasons why I moved here, because I'm surrounding myself with people that are growing and that are successful. And when you
Yeah,
surround yourself with success, you become it. You feed off it. It's contagious,
absolutely. And
you
that's
know?
one of the many reasons why I host these empowerment retreats for leaders,
Mm,
stressed out leaders
mm,
that want to connect with other leaders and build strategic alliances, because our environment is everything, right, Luke? We must learn to connect with the right people. We must learn to silence distraction. We must learn to safeguard our positivity. So, my next question. So many questions, right? And
no, it's
time
good.
just, God, time just goes by so fast when we're having fun. So, my next question to you, Luke, is this: what pivotal moment helped you shape your confidence as a leader?
Yeah, so I mean, that carefrontation exercise is like every level, every time I took action and had an uncomfortable conversation with someone who had maybe I had been triggered because of their words, for example. I'm very careful when I use that, because when we tend to blame other people for our emotional triggers or reactions,
Mm,
which is just a recollection of a past trauma or negative experience that's just resurfacing, and we're blaming it on somebody because they called us something or they said something to us, which is just again, it's a neuron or a part of your brain that's activated because of that in the past.
mhm,
So th- those, and I used to say, I used to approach people and say, you triggered me, when really it's like that person made a sound and your body reacted. But that was the one thing that I struggled with, was standing up for myself, you
mm,
know being able to express my feelings, for example, because I was never emotionally aware. I was never emotionally intelligent. I never appreciated or understood why my body reacts the way that it does. you know why do I get so scared? Why does
mm,
my face? Why, when I feel threatened or somebody's trying to, talk over me or tell me off or whatever it is, or trying to threaten me in some way, my face goes red. I'm scared. I go into shock. I never could understand that. And so, anytime someone that would be in my friendship circle or family, as I started this journey, I now became aware of that, and I was like, okay, that's coming up for me. And that came up for me because of that conversation or that experience. I'm now going to be courageous. And this is where, again, it goes back to learning to love myself.
mm.
And so building that stronger relationship with myself helped me to go, well, speak your truth even when your voice shakes.
Ah,
So those conversations were scary because I had to do them being nervous,
yes.
but I wasn't willing to disrespect myself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you don't
Mm.
speak your truth, you're disrespecting yourself. You're not honoring what's coming up. You're not honoring your feelings. You're not honoring what's happening, how the other person has possibly made you feel. So by doing that, and it was a step-by-step process, because there were many occasions where I had to step into that and communicate, which is why I believe that communication really is the key. If you want to heal, you have to communicate.
Yes.
If you want to have a healthy relationship, you have to communicate. And many of us lack in communication skills and confidence to be our true authentic self, in the fear of judgment, in the fear of other people's
Mm.
opinion, in the fear of losing other people, in the like, and that's why I say, man, like, when you're authentic, you will lose the wrong people.
Yes. That's
That's good.
okay.
That's
That's
good.
okay. Yes.
Yeah.
We
But
got,
guess what? You'll
yeah.
attract the people that appreciate you. And that's where you really get to know who your true friends are, when you
Mm.
start to really be your true authentic self.
That's right. And
Mm.
isn't it a beautiful thing, Luke, when you establish that communication with yourself first and foremost, of asking yourself, why am I triggered by this person? Why am I afraid of, of this thing? Why am I nervous? Why am I afraid to be alone? When we
Mhm.
ask ourselves these questions and learn to establish boundaries within ourselves, right? And ask these powerful questions, everything shifts.
Well, think about it this way. It's also fear. It's the
Mm,
body reacting. It's some sort of fear as well. And
yes.
so you have a choice to allow that to control you, or to actually fight back. And so what I like to
Ooh.
see it as is, in personal development, or inner healing, you hear the term inner child, right? Or the younger version of yourself. So anytime that comes up to me, or comes up for me, it's, for example, let's say I'm getting ready to do an event, or I'm getting ready to do something that's out of my comfort zone, right? What's coming up for me is, that's my younger version of myself. It's the one,
Mm,
it's the little Luke that's afraid. He's scared of judgment. He's scared of people's opinions. He's scared of being seen. He's scared of making a mistake.
mm,
So it's my responsibility as a grown adult, the big Luke, to take his hand and go, "Hey, I got you, bro. It's all good. We're good. You're safe.
mm.
I'm your protector." And again, it's a mindset, okay? Because, like, let's be real. There's no person here. It's just me, right? But it's a mindset. It's like, hey, when that comes up for me, I'm like, that's my younger version of myself just reminding me that he's nervous, he's scared. But consciously, I'm aware of what I'm doing, and I know that I'm going to tackle this fear, or tackle that insecurity. And then, as you're aware, every time you tackle that, or you challenge your fears, you expand your level of consciousness. You grow,
Mm.
and you become better at that. And that's why, like, repetition is the mother of skill.
Yes. And I love how that you brought up this topic, fear, which another topic within itself, this thing, fear. Luke, I have learned that fear is false evidence appearing real. And 99% of the things we fear never happen. And we must continuously go after our fears, right? This thing we're afraid of at the moment. Now, when I feel fear, because we're always going to feel fear, right? Especially, I know new levels, new devils. Wouldn't you agree, Luke? But
Absolutely, yeah. Every level there's a new devil. you know. But
Yes.
for example, right, and I used to have, like, every time there's an opportunity to do another event, it's in a new environment, there's new people, right?
Yes.
I'm like, oh shit, right? So I got invited to do an event in Abu Dhabi this next in a few days' time,
Ooh.
but there was a little bit of discrepancies, lack of communication, and I actually pulled the pin on it because it's not, and it wasn't about fear. It wasn't about I'm afraid to get out of my comfort zone. No, it was about priorities, and it was about what am I focusing on and what's more
Mm.
important for me right now. What's
Yes.
more important for me right now is my business. And if something is not valuable enough for me, or I'm not going to receive enough energy from it, then I'm not going to give energy to it.
Ugh.
So because I'm sitting there battling with, like, yeah, but it's going to help you grow, you're going to do something that's out of your comfort zone again, you're going to get in front of people. It's like, yeah, but I've done that already, I know I can do that, and I have to refocus my energy. It's like the analogy of a oven cooktop, right? You got four burners, and all four burners are burning at 25% each,
Mm-hmm.
or it can be one at 100%. And so I've learned, in managing my energy in smaller you know sections of my business, because if I do too much, I spread myself too thin, and then there's not enough power in
Mm.
being able to achieve the goals and the results that I'm looking for. So, and that's something that easily can happen, because as you start growing, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's work on this project. Oh yeah, let's do this and let's do that. And then all of a sudden things start falling apart because you're spreading
Yes.
yourself too thin.
Yes. We only have so much mental bandwidth,
Mm,
right? And it's like
absolutely.
it's it's really learning to focus. It makes me think about the 80-20 rule, right?
Yes.
We must shift our focus to the few priorities that matter, not
Mm,
the trivial many.
mm-hmm.
That makes all the difference. And that's what you were doing, Luke. You were understanding yourself and where your business, where's the energy, and how will this serve me? And as as you know, sometimes I know leaders, they go through like FOMO.
Mm, yep.
They have this fear of missing out and they give in to everything. But it's not about that. It's
Mhm.
learning to focus on the few vital priorities that make all the difference, not the
Mhm.
trivial many. So,
Absolutely.
what has really helped you understand this? What do you look for when you're like, okay, I must focus on the vital few things for my business at this moment?
Well, I guess it's just the learning of, and it's exciting, but and this is the part of learning about a experience or a journey that you've never been on before. You do. I've got a business coach, and even though I have a business coach, I still started making decisions that I thought was best for me, but I didn't
Same.
know whether they were best for me because I was just getting excited, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do. At one stage, I hired too many people. And
Mm,
then my business coach came in, and I'm like, bro, things are not going well, blah, blah, blah. And he had a look and he goes, well, first of all, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, you need to, this one needs to go, this one needs to go, this one needs to go, and I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, man, like, what do you do? I'm like, I want to help people. I like giving people jobs, you know? So, but
yes.
that's the process of, like, going through and learning, and then having to make the mistakes, and then you learn that, okay, yeah, wow, I'm focusing on too much on this and that and this, and then you pull back, because I know myself that statistics for most small businesses, within the first 3 years, they fail.
Mm,
I'm 3 and a bit more years in, and that was the one thing that I was thinking as well. I was like, I'm going to protect this baby, man. Like,
that's right.
I'm not gonna get, like, all this, because you start making more money, and then you go start when you make more money, you spend more money. You know what I mean? It's just a natural thing. It's like, oh, I can travel now. I can afford more things and this and that. And I'm just like, man, I'm just chilling. I'm embracing my solitude. I'm embracing this journey
Mm,
of development and growth, and I'm making a positive impact in the world. I'm helping my family, which is such a blessing and a gift because they helped me for so many years, being the youngest brother that didn't really know what he was doing, and I was in debt for so many years, and they housed me and took care of me and fed me, and so this is my way of giving back, and
mm,
saying, I see you and I appreciate you. So, again, it's all part of the process and being self-aware of the lessons. Are you willing to learn the lessons, though? That's the question.
ooh. Are you willing to learn the lessons?
Mm.
Such a great question, Luke. And I love how you've given back to not only your family, but your community. You continuously give back to your community. So my next question, and I know you know, time is of the essence. And
Very good.
you know, this is good. This is good. So my next question to you, Luke, is this. How do you prepare yourself before you take command of any room or any stage?
This last event that I did, 4th of January, Unlock Your Greatness in Sydney,
Ooh.
was actually funny enough. I had to break through. I had to break through a bit of anxiety, had to break through a bit of fear. And
Mm.
I recall my manager telling me that, it's time. And I'm like, and 20 minutes prior, she messaged me and she said, "Do you want a Barocca? Do you
You
want some
want to
fluid
what?
or a Barocca, some vitamin B, D, C, those capsules you put in water and
Mm.
then you drink it." So she asked me if I wanted some like electrolytes and stuff,
Yes.
Um, and I was like, "No, I'm fine. Like it's good." And then 20 minutes later, I started feeling dehydrated. I some reason I just didn't feel the best.
Mm.
And then I got worried. And then, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness, there's people, everyone's come, it's full house. Like people are waiting for me. I can't back out." So yeah, that was pretty scary because like I didn't know what to do, and I'm in my hotel room and then I'm walking around and then I went down the lift and then I went outside and I've like saw my nieces there waiting at the front doors and just welcoming people in, and I went down the road and then I stood there and the sun was there and I stood in the sun for a bit and I got some vitamin D,
Mm.
and I was just trying to like recalibrate myself and just ground myself. And then when I went downstairs, my sister was welcoming me in, and I heard my name, and everyone was screaming, and the music was on. And so basically, what I do in that moment was basically I'm jumping up and down, and I'm really focused, and if you see, there's a video of me, and I'm actually like hitting my head, which is weird, but I'm jumping up and down, and I'm doing this.
Okay.
Because I'm basically preparing myself to like unleash, you know.
Mm.
And then basically when I come in on stage, it's like I'm a superhero. So I come in with high energy, with dancing, with screaming, with getting people to stand up and dance, and
Yes.
it's another level. It's not the same person that you're talking to right now, because
Mm.
that's what I represent. I'm not here to be all quiet and stuff. And, yeah, there's ways of communication and storytelling where I'm able to, fluctuate my energy, but yeah, that's definitely how I enter an
Ooh.
event or a presentation. It's high energy. I wouldn't be going into any place that was just like, yeah, just come and share with us a little bit of a story and
I
don't be
love
too
that.
loud. If you listen to my podcast, you know what I'm like.
Yes. Yes. So you prepare you mentally, emotionally, physically by doing this,
Yeah, of
prepare
course.
yourself
The
for
the
what's
the 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 days before also matter, like exercising and sleeping, and, your preparation obviously is 3 or 4 days prior.
Of
But
course.
just before the event, yeah, man, I'm doing weird shit like jumping up and down and shit, and like I'm revving myself up.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, Luke. So important to really get our physiology
Your
pumped
state.
up, your state, right? Your state of mind, your
Mm,
physiology pumped up for what's forthcoming because our energy matters, especially as speakers.
yeah, it's your energy's currency and it's expensive. Don't give it away so easily. But
Ooh,
yeah, your energy's everything. So
so
and
good.
that's why it's contagious.
Yes, yes. I love that. So, Luke, I have like a ton of other questions, but time is currency, and I'm so grateful for you being here, for being present,
Mm.
for being vulnerable and transparent with your answers here today, with everything you've shared. I mean, I honor your time, my time. Actually, I'm headed to Los Angeles today, excited to be there for one of my clients. Um, and how can people connect with you? If How can people connect with you, Luke?
Well, I'm all over social media platforms. So I mean, the main one's Instagram at Luke Mindpower, or if you even type in Luke Mindpower on Google, you'll get my website. You'll get all my social media platforms. You'll find I'm pretty much scattered all over the internet if you type my name in. But yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Luke Mindpower, or you can go to my website lukemindpower.com/home, and there's yeah more info there on what I can help you with and any upcoming future events. Yeah.
Awesome, Luke. Well, I personally, professionally want to thank you for being my friend, genuine friend, a leader, a mentor that I look up to. You motivate me every time I see you. And I can't wait to have you here again in San Diego so we can continue our friendship, continue serving other people because that's really what it's about. When you say what do you say that? I mean, it's really about servant leadership.
Yeah, and I love your approach as well. Sexy confidence, man. Like more. When you're coming from the feminine um, space, like more women need to be in their sexy confidence.
Mm,
And they need to own that. And
yes.
that's where like your authenticity comes in. Your ability to look at yourself in the mirror and accept yourself. And love all of your flaws and insecurities, and that's why I'll say love the shit out of yourself. There's no one else out there like you. you know
Right.
Own that and be sexy in your own way. You don't have to be sexy like other people. You're not other people. We get too
Mm,
conditioned and lost in like what other people look like, and that's just how we're programmed.
right.
But it's up to you to be able to establish that rapport within yourself and be sexy for you, and then you attract that
Yes.
sexiness, you attract that sexy energy to you as well.
Exactly. And I've had this discussion with strong female leaders. A lot of them are in their masculinity because
Mm,
it's what's made them successful. It's what drives them. And what I have found is that ideal man in his masculinity who's comfortable in being authentic in his own skin, when the time is right, will allow us to be in our femininity. But for
absolutely, man.
those few,
That's
right?
yeah. I know myself. That your feminine, being in your feminine is the gift. And
Mm,
being in your true healthy masculine is the gift we give to each other. And as an individual, it's having the balance. And many of us are not balanced. We're either in too much of our feminine or too much of our masculine. And so you know yourself that you're not balanced, something's missing.
mm,
And if you can, and that's why even from the male point of view, it's the vulnerability, man. Get in touch with your feelings, your emotions. I remember having a conversation with my brother-in-law, having a confrontation with him, and he's a very heavily, strong, masculine, dominant, successful, very loving, but not someone that I've ever been able to receive or experience some sort of feelings or emotions about how he feels deeply within himself, because he covers
Mm.
it up, and it's never been that, a comfortable conversation to go, this is how it made me feel, or this is what happened, and this is how, because again, it's seen as being weak. But I was the one that triggered him, because I had the courage to invite him to come and have a conversation with me, because I was triggered because of something he said to me. And when I took that action, I remember talking to him, Sandra, and I said, you triggered me with this. And then he stopped and said to me, as his face started going red, he started explaining to me about what happened when he first came into our lives, and he first met my parents, when he first started dating my sister, and how he felt, how our family treated him.
Mm.
And he was like, his emotions came out. I could see that he was tearing up. He was going all red. And what did that do? I'm sitting there observing him sharing with me his feelings for the first time. And what that did for our relationship, for our connection, all I wanted to do while he was communicating, all I felt was so much love for him,
Mm.
because I was like, oh my God, like I never knew this. And all I wanted to do was to, hug him, and to tell him that I'm sorry if that was the case, and that happened. And and what it did is it made us stronger, because
Oh.
of my courage to communicate my feelings.
Mm.
And that triggered him to then go, hey, hang on a second, this is not fair. Why is Luke always the one that's opening up about his feelings, and I never fucking say anything? And he's a 45 or 47-year-old grown adult man. So
Mm.
this is the change that we create, because we step into our authenticity, and we stop,
Yes.
being like, oh, I can't talk about my feelings as a man. Bullshit, man. It's healthy.
Ugh, so, so good. And wouldn't you say this is the answer to everything, whether it's in life or business? Love.
Absolutely.
Love is the
Absolutely.
answer,
It's
right?
the birthplace to transparency. It's the birthplace to the truth. It's the birthplace to connection.
Mm.
So many of us are not connected because we're not being honest and truthful and respectful, and we don't
Mm.
understand each other. Why? Because we don't open. So a lot of us are not in our healthy feminine because of past negative experiences, for example. So we're locked. We're in protective defense mode. No, I've been
Mm.
disrespected or treated like this so many times in the past. So now I'm not going to let that happen again, and I'm going to be in my masculine.
Yes.
you know so yeah, we've got to just learn and become more aware, and know that communication is the key. And actions speak louder than words.
Ugh, actions speak louder than words. That's such a perfect segue into what I would love to share with my, viewers, listeners
Mm.
that are watching. I'm, as you already know, Luke, I'm hosting my third empowerment retreat
Hmm.
in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, because I've learned it's about our environment,
Mm.
right? And connecting. So this is for the stressed out leader, again, who's looking to build strategic alliances with other leaders and rejuvenate, reinvigorate themselves, learn to relax. Because when you're in that relaxing environment, what happens? Creativity blossoms. What happens? You generate solutions. And you build memorable experiences. So this is why I love hosting uh, in-person events, and there's something different about Mexico. Mexico has this beautiful energy, and I'm so excited again to be hosting my third empowerment retreat. You, without a doubt, are going to be one of my speakers in one of my empowerment retreats. It's forthcoming. We already know this. And
Keep planting the seeds.
That's right. It's about planting the seeds, and I already know it's done. It's forthcoming. But for those leaders who are looking to, let go of anxiety, take command of any room they step into, learn how to connect with other leaders so they can build strategic alliances and scale their business, because it's the environment, who we associate ourselves with. I highly recommend you reach out to me for my empowerment retreat. And you can go to sandragonzalez.com/retreat. I just want to share that. But what are your closing remarks for the leaders that are watching?
One of the things that I've learned is that we are the change.
Mm,
Anyone who's willing to be your true authentic self and willing to lose things that don't serve them is really the change that the world needs. And so
mm,
that's really what we're doing. We're sharing the truth, we're sharing our own stories, and we ended up by talking about communication. And this is the call out for more leaders to actually, instead of like coming from this like wisdom based of like knowledge of business and the entrepreneur and this, it's like storytelling is the secret
mm,
to transformation. Storytelling is the survival guide for somebody else who's dealing with some sort of stress or challenge, that they needed to hear your story and your vulnerability and your courage, which then leads them to wanting to buy from you. You
mm,
know, it's being able to market yourself and connect with people, right? And I think there is obviously there's an art to that, but I think that if you're not someone who's mastered your communication, a bit like your ability to communicate and connect and be okay with being vulnerable, and I know that everyone's different, not everybody has to go down or that deep or whatever, but there is a deep appreciation that when you do open yourself up like that, you also create deeper connections. People
mhm,
feel you more,
mhm.
and that's why I'm very good at what I do, for example, when I help people, because I've gone so deep within myself. And the
Yeah.
deeper that you go within yourself, the deeper that you're able to understand other people, because
Mm.
you understand yourself.
Beautiful, beautiful parting words. S- Love that, Luke. Thank you so much for being part of this live stream, for being part of this podcast. You're an absolute blessing in my life. And I'm just so honored to be connected with you. And for those leaders that are watching, someone needs your survival guide at this moment.
Because it's not easy, man. It's not easy to be a leader.
It's,
There's a lot of responsibility,
yes.
but this is how you change the world. This is how you make a difference. This is where you step into a life of fulfillment, because you're courageous enough to go, you know what, I'm going to own my story rather than my story owning me.
Ugh, such beautiful parting words.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me, Sandra. It's been a blessing, honestly. I just,
Been a
you know,
blessing.
it is. It's a blessing, and I can't wait to see you soon.
I'm sure we'll see each other soon. Leaders, someone needs your survival guide. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Sexy Confidence live stream podcast. Make sure you join us for the next episode, where I'll have another amazing leader who will help us, guide us, teach us how to take command of any room we step into, so we can magnetize opportunities for impact and growth. I hope you have an amazing day.